Hey, what's up? I'm Eric. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Legacy Modern Edition. This is round 4 from the Modern 1K hosted at Spellhold Games on June 4th, a little while ago. And today we have Tron, specifically Eldrazi Tron. That's going to be a primarily colorless deck, one of the only decks that plays basic wastes in the format. And that's because it's casting cards of the Eldrazi type like Thought Not Seer, Reality Smasher, and Matter Reshaper. And then it gets to make good use of Ugin, both the Ineffable and Spirit Dragon, as it plays no colored permanents. And then it's a Chalice of the Void deck. Its removal is Dismember, and they occasionally play a basic Swamp or two to ensure that they could get around Voidmere, although not many people are playing Voidmere these days. But other than that, it's kind of the basic trappings of a Tron deck. You play the 3 different Tron lands and ways to find them with Expedition Map. And this deck also runs some other colorless utility lands like Ghost Quarter, and I believe there's Eldrazi Temple as well in this deck. The other one's banned. What's it called? Eye of Ugin. That one was banned a while ago. But yeah, just make a lot of mana, play some big threats, disrupt the board, and swing in with big creatures. On the right, we have Enchantress, a Naya color deck that's green-white primarily with some red in there. And it plays a lot of enchantments, things that say draw a card when you play an enchantment, make mana for every enchantment you have, create a land as a creature that has power and toughness equal to the number of enchantments you have. And yeah, just kind of plays a bunch of enchantments and wins by counting how many they have and getting in there. That's the gist of it. It also locks the game out with Blood Moon. It is a primarily playing basic snow-covered lands and Blood Moon to lock the opponent out. So that's already kind of an inherent advantage that Enchantress has in this matchup. Blood Moon tends to be pretty effective against a Tron deck. A little less effective against Eldrazi Tron specifically compared to Green Tron, but we'll see how it goes. Enchantress is on the play, and Tron mulled a 5. That was a tapped shock, and Tron played a Tron land into a relic, and that's a Sanctum Weaver, the guy that taps for mana for each enchantment you control. It itself is an enchantment, so it is just a basic mana dork. There was a Dismember to get rid of it. Here's Sithis, that's an Enchantress style creature. It draws a card and gains a life every time you cast an enchantment, and Tron pops Relic to draw a card. Here's Chalice X equals 1, which can be a problem. There's a On Thin Ice into the Chalice just to draw a card off of the Sithis, and crashing in there for a little bit of damage with the Sithis. Bunch of confusing, quirky Tron land arts, so nobody knows if you actually have Tron or not, but that was 4 mana for a, what's that guy called? Walking Ballista, X equals 2 to kill the Sithis. There's Blood Moon, so no Eldrazi are able to be cast as none of these lands actually tap for colorless at this point. So we're waiting around to see if another land gets drawn, and yeah, there we go. There's Ugin the Ineffable, so that reduces the cost of colorless cards, and it could also exile or destroy permanents that have colors. So in this situation, actually, it would appear that the Blood Moon is more harmful to the Enchantress player, and so that Ugin went for the mana dork instead, which is a pretty solid play. Followed it up with 8 mana Ugin, reduced cost to 6 because of the first Ugin, and yeah, it looks like we're just going to be swinging with Manifest tokens. It's not actually Manifest, but effectively Manifest tokens, and dealing damage with the big Ugin plus, and yeah, that's almost certainly going to be game. We're just passing back and forth until enough damage is dealt. Yep, and there it is. we'll move into game 2, and I'll see you there. Alrighty, Tron mulling to 6, and Enchantress on the play with, I believe, a full 7, yeah. Deciding on what to put on the bottom. Yep, there's a Utopia Sprawl naming white. Just a little bit of extra land ramp. Also counts as an enchantment, of course. Fetching Wooded Foothills for another snow-covered forest. I think there was another Utopia Sprawl in hand, so that'll probably be what happens here. Stony Silence, pretty effective early on in the game. There are several artifacts in the Eldrazi Tron deck, including Expedition Map, which can help complete Tron. There's the map, just kind of chilling out, not doing much. There's Enchantress's Presence into Destiny Spinner. So now Chalice is going to be ineffective unless that Destiny Spinner is gotten rid of, because creatures and enchantments are uncounterable while you control the Destiny Spinner. So things are looking pretty favorable here for the Enchantress player. There's a Krufix Insight, one of the few non-enchantment spells played in the deck. It's a sorcery. You look at the top 6, and you could grab up to 3 enchantments. So there's, I think, Cast Out, Sanctum Weaver, and Redundant Destiny Spinner. Goes ahead and casts that Sanctum Weaver, and then crashes in there for 2 with the Destiny Spinner. Here's a Walking Ballista X equals 1. Okay, 2 towers and a mine are the lands, I suppose. That's Sterling Grove. Every enchantment under your control has Shroud, and alternatively, if you really need to find something, you can spend 1 and sack it and go into your deck for an enchantment and put it on top of your library. Notably, the Sterling Grove itself doesn't have Shroud, but I don't think that's going to be super relevant. The Eldrazi Tron player's best answer to enchantments is going to be Ugin, of the 8 mana variety, although 6 mana Ugin could also answer 1. A couple more enchantments coming out. We had another Enchantress's Presence and a Blood Moon. So again, no Eldrazi will be cast with this Blood Moon out. And it looked like we had a Destiny Spinner animating 1 land and chipping in for some damage, so that was probably a pretty sizable hit. And yep, Tron can't draw out of that, so we'll move into game 3. All right, similar situation. Tron mulling to 5. As far as modern decks go, Tron is pretty good at making mulligans. You really want that specific combo of lands and big spells to cast off of them to win the game. And there's a turn 1 Urza Saga. Enchantress will just grab a forest, basic I assume, and lay out a Utopia Sprawl, naming white, I assume. Here's a Walking Ballista on X equals 1 from Tron. What 3 mana or perhaps 2 mana spell with a follow-up will we see here? I see a Sithis. That seems like a pretty obvious start to me. Yeah, that's Sithis, and then we'll on Thin Ice to target the Walking Ballista, and in response there will be a ping, so the Ballista does not go under the on Thin Ice. There's a floated mana. Urza Saga grabs Expedition Map, and then the Wastes is tapped to go ahead and crack the Expedition Map and play a Power Plant for turn. And there's Dismember to snipe the Sithis off of the board, passing it back. A decent turn. Obviously, you would want to actually be able to make some construct tokens off of the Saga, but you got to do what you got to do in a landlight hand, which is, I assume, what's happening for the Tron player. There's an Enchantress Presence, and what's that thing called? Abundant Growth to draw a card. There's a Matter Reshaper, the Menace. Nobody could defeat him. And back to Enchantress. Just lays out Sithis. And That's an on thin ice to get the Reshaper out of the way. No trigger off of that because it's exile. And there's a Sanctum Weaver. We're already up to like 5 or 6 enchantments or something like that, so that's threatening quite a bit of mana. Yeah, just a Mana Reshaper as a follow-up. Not quite going to do it, I assume. An Enchantress is just drawing a million cards for every enchantment they play. There's a Blood Moon sealing off the possibility of drawing into Ron naturally. Here's just a absurd amount of mana, with the Enchantress player kindly putting out a dice for us so we could see how much he made. That was a 9 total, 3 spent on a presence, 2 and a white, or 1 and a white spent on the Sterling Grove, another white and a green spent on Stony Silence. There's another Sanctum Weaver. All we really need to close things out is a Destiny Spinner, which, given that our Enchantress player here has drawn, I don't know, something like, 18 cards or whatever, he probably has, and will, I assume, just win the game next turn. I don't see a way out of this for Eldrazi Tron, but as this is game 3 in a comp rail event, we will we'll see it to the end. Yeah, another Mana Reshaper ain't gonna do it, I don't think. A million mana. 14. Yeah, there's the spinner. Okay, so we'll just I don't know, continue to make guys, I guess. Continue to cast enchantments and draw cards. Okay, no. Yeah, we're animating lands now. Cool. 1, 2, 3. Tap that guy, make another 14 or 15. He casts one more spell. 1, 2, and 3. That's 6 lands, all of which are trample and bigger than 10/10. So that'll be just an absolutely absurd amount of damage. Yeah, so as far as being able to generate mana and stuff, it's going to be quite difficult when you're playing against the main deck Blood Moon deck. This is probably, I assume, quite favored for Enchantress. I think Green Tron is a little bit more focused on actually getting the Tron lands into play, where Eldrazi Tron is more interested in utility. I'm not sure if they actually run the full set of 4 of each of them. But all that being said, that was round 5 of the Modern 1K. I'll be around next time for round 5. And yeah, have a good one.